I'm here with Walter Pike at the Mobile Web Africa. How are you, Walter Pike?
I'm very good, thanks.
Good. You gave a fantastic presentation this morning, and I have a couple of key questions from that. Your idea of an idea as a marketing principle, won't you expand?
The idea that brands are ideas, and that our job. What I was saying was that what we're trying to do as marketers is actually spread ideas, and the idea can be a lot of things. It can be like, this is a better product than that. This is a cool brand, or if you subscribe to this car brand, then you're going to be cool yourself. So our job really, when you think about it, is spreading those ideas. In the olden days, we used to spread those ideas by using broadcast media because that's all we had. And the way we thought about our marketing process and attaching values onto brands and things like that was all in that space. How do I get people to buy into my idea? And we did it by shouting at them. I'm not saying it in a negative way, but that was highly successful. It was a good thing to do. But we just told people over and over and over again, like a teacher does in the front of the classroom, until people believed it, and then they went out and bought our stuff. What's happened since then is that people don't really believe advertising, and they can talk to each other and find out things from each other. So we've got to think of new ways of spreading those ideas, and we've got to think of giving people tools to help them spread the ideas. Because what happens in a social world is that we are connected, and we're usually connected in big numbers. I've got thousands of followers. They're not all friends, but they're followers, and if I say something or somebody says something to them, they might even tell their followers the things that I say. The trick that brands have to work out is, how do I get that idea, the idea that is my brand idea, how do I get that into the hands of people who are going to spread it in such a way that it's easy for them to spread it? That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Fantastic. Now, in terms of that, really as an extension of that, the idea of buzz versus engagement, because obviously engagement's a big issue around social media, and actually trying to develop a bit of a return on what you're doing and the efforts you're putting into. Will you expand on that for us, please?
Yeah, again, I think it's a result of what I've been calling kind of legacy thinking. And because we as marketers, because we're so used to being able to control the message, when the media became two-way as opposed to just the one-way broadcast thing, we felt that the next thing we have to do is engage them, and we engage them in the space that we at. But actually, in general, and I know that this is not an absolute statement, but in general, people really couldn't give a damn about me as a brand. I mean, I'm not, because I'm Ford or something, I'm not, you're not my friend. And unless I'm really, really into the stuff that you've got, and I can't possibly be into every single brand that I relate to, whether that be a technology brand or a camera brand or whatever. Some of them I am, some of them I'm not. So the key thing is not to worry that much about that engagement of that interface, although you do have to worry about it as well. What you have to worry about is what happens in the rest of the ecosystem, where the people that you are talking to, that you're engaging with, what are they saying and how are they saying that to their mates, and how that is spreading. And the other point that I made in my talk was that that's not only restricted to online or to Twitter or whatever, because actually no talking happens that way. No conversations are stuck in one place. The conversations happen on Twitter, and goes to the braai, then comes out to a dinner conversation, goes into Facebook, disappears into Mixit, and does other things. But it's really getting that buzz going, and that's what I've talking about, is the buzz, the discussion between me and a friend. And I've got a fantastic example the other day. I mean, you were there. We were recording our little podcast. And as we were recording it, a guy pulled up in a car. It was a Renault, I think. And the person got up from his chair, went running across to the guy outside there and said, "Hey, how are you enjoying your car?" I mean, that's the space that we're talking about. And the brand's not involved in that space. And the brand shouldn't even try and be involved in that space. But they should try and know what's going on in that space.
Okay. And then just really as a final thought, your thoughts about where mobile is going in terms of where marketing is going, and really the whole social space in terms of the next year. between Africa, South Africa, and the rest of the world, any big shifts, changes, or thoughts?
I mean, I think that we are in the beginning of a change, and that we're on the adoption curve. We've started on the adoption curve. Some people have moved down the adoption curve quite a long way, but actually I think that we're trying to make sense of what's happening in marketing, still using our old paradigm. And I spoke about in my thing that we need to disenchant ourselves. We need to become disenchanted or disengage ourselves with the way that we're used to thinking about marketing. And I think that what we're going to see is people doing more of that. And I think as we get, I mean, Vodacom was saying that we've got a 20% penetration of smartphones in the South African market. Now, 20% is not insignificant. I mean, that's a lot of people. And I think that's going to grow. I think people are going to start engaging with the technology better and better. I think that marketing is going to start thinking about marketing in two kind of different levels. The first being this salience level, this place where we get ourselves noticed. That's still going to be shouting, because we're still going to have to shout on TV. We're still going to have to do things like it to get noticed. Once we've got noticed, we need to spend a lot of time now on finding ways of creating loyalty, of people being happy with us, and finding the way to get that message to spread. And I think that the forward-thinking companies are going to spend effort on that. I think that the bulk of them, this time next year, you'll ask me the same question and I'll give you the same answer, because it's not going to move that quickly.
Fantastic.
And there's a lot of reasons for that as well, Michael. One of the reasons is that we've got investments in business models. Agencies are invested in a certain kind of way of running a business. Brands and people's careers are invested in a certain way of how they need to understand marketing and how they need to sell it and how they need to move up the systems. What I'm talking about is radical, because it sort of works from the assumption that each of the underlying principles of what they're doing have been undermined, so they need to think about it differently. And I don't think that thinking is going to happen, or let me rephrase it, I think the thinking might happen, but the action is not going to happen immediately.
Yes, fantastic. All right, that's Walter Pike at the Mobile Web Africa Conference. Thank you for your time, Walter.
Cheers, thanks, Mike.